Cam, obviously a frustrated locker room, getting close again. It's kind of the mood in there. I know you guys are tired of losing at the buzzer. Seems like.
Yeah, just a real frustrated group of guys. You know, we work too hard to be getting this close every game. You know what I'm saying? We know these are like the teams we can beat. Just got to get back to the drawing board, figure some things out, and get back right.
Steph, go ahead.
You know, Cam, you're one of the guys that's been around for a few years, and there's a lot of losses like this. Last season too that were close. I guess what's the message you try to send to the rest of the locker room to keep moving forward despite getting similar results?
I just try to lead by example. Try to get everybody on the same page. Listen to Coach Jans because it's about the little things like attention to detail, stuff like that. It might not be about the last play. It might be the 5 plays before, 10 plays before. Everything add up.
Let's go to the back in the camera walls and John.
I mean, y'all, obviously fought hard to get this game from double-digit deficit to, right there down to at the end. What do you think it was that allowed Florida to just kind of be able to kind of sneak away with it?
We didn't play good in the first half. We was kind of flat, stagnant. I think we just really picked things up in the second half and really settle down and strap down on the keys in our game plan.
Go back to Steph in the front.
Obviously, some big minutes for Will McNair there down the stretch. And seemed to give you guys a lift. I think he was a +7 today. So I guess what did he kind of provide? How much do you guys trust him? To step in. Sometimes we're totally there in some big minutes.
I trust everybody on my team, from the first guy to the last, because we all get in. We do get all the same amount of work in. I trust everybody. Big minutes from him. It's really just no difference. We get the ball inside and we trust them to make the good plays.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go to Paul.
I'm sure you heard about it in the locker room from Coach Jans, but they were 10 of 24 from 3. It was kind of the breakdowns there. I mean, I know they had a couple of prayers to beat the shot clock, but what's kind of been the reasoning behind that, even getting good looks?
Yeah, that one from half court is crazy. But I think the ones in the first half that got them that big lead kind of hurt a little bit more. But I think we guarded the three-point line a little bit better in the second half. You just got to do it for 40.
We'll wrap it up with Steph.
Could you take us, through that last possession there, kind of what you saw with, the rebound coming off from DJ's shot, and do you feel like you got a decent look there at the end? Because it was kind of hard to tell from where we sit.
I just saw the ball tipped, and I just tried to go get it and put it in.
Coach, I guess same question I asked Cam. I guess you got to be frustrated in that locker room to have a chance to win another game and come up short.
Yeah, frustrated is a good word. There's other ones we could insert in there as well. We've obviously lost some games recently, and after a loss, I don't let my emotions get me, and I just don't say much. We address the team briefly and etc. But it's not what you think it probably would sound like. It's pretty low key, and tonight was a little different. And I told him I felt like we lost the game in the first 10 minutes of the game, in hindsight. Like, we just didn't play true to who we have to be in our basketball personality and our character, if you will. And there's a lot to it, but obviously I'm around them every day, and at this point they know how we need to play to be successful and to win games. And we weren't playing that way on both ends of the court. We took silly shots, which for us are like turnovers. They converted them into threes. We're up 3-0, if I'm not mistaken, 2-0, I don't know. And then all of a sudden it was, I'm calling timeout before the media timeout because we're not playing our style of play that we have to play to this year. And then it just set the tone. Now they're on the road. They're feeling good. They're more confident than they were to start. We're not. And they got rhythm. Defensively, it was this little bite in the first half as our team has had in a long, long time. We didn't turn them over at the rate that we normally do. We weren't flying at shooters. They were shooting some horse shots. And no discredit to Florida, they ran their stuff well. They shared the ball and had some pace to them, had some tempo to them, and that was what we talked about prior to the game. Is you can't allow them to run their stuff and catch it where they want to catch it, and we have to disrupt them and throw them off, and we just didn't do it. And then in the end, yeah, our loved ones are gonna hug us and tell us, hey, way to fight back. You didn't go away. Well, I would hope so. I would hope we would continue to fight and scratch and try to find a way to win the game. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you do. But we just dug ourselves a hole, and we were playing uphill the entire night. So yeah, we're disappointed.
We'll stay front row and go to Steph.
Chris, obviously, Will McNair gets some big minutes there down the stretch. I guess, what kind of made him, have a bit of advantage? I think it was +7, this game. What would you see with him? And then I guess, kind of on the flip side with that question, what do you say to a guy like Tolu, who, definitely comes to Mississippi State, expects to be the guy playing, down the stretch the last 8 minutes of the game and kind of make that substitution there?
Tolu gets it. I'm not worried about Tolu. Will was 5 for 6. Tolu was 5 for 15. Will was catching it deep, having some patience, turning and scoring. Tolu was struggling to finish. I mean, it's just reality. I mean, we have a great relationship, and we talk in real terms every day around here, and he's disappointed, but he understands. He may not like it, but he understands, and the score is going in the right direction, when Will was in the game, and who knows how the next game will unfold or the game after that. But tonight, we just felt like he gave us the best chance to win the game, get down the stretch.
Go back to the cameras and John.
Chris, did you feel like with the gauntlet coming up of Alabama and then a TCU team that just beat Kansas today, do you feel like tonight was a must-win considering the gauntlet that's kind of ahead of you all?
At this point, I think every game's a must-win. Where we're at, it's new territory for some of us, and every game's the Super Bowl for us. That's how we treat them, and obviously this was no different. Certainly I was well aware of what was looming, but we were all in on preparing for this game, and in the end, I've got to figure out a way to do better, to get them to play better early, and they have to understand that we just don't have a lot of room for error. We don't have a big margin for error, and so we have to stay in our character of how we have to play to be successful. And when we get away from that, the game changes really fast, and that's just reality. I think our guys know that deep down, but sometimes it's hard to stay focused like that. But yeah, they're all must-wins at this point.
Second row to coaches Wright and Brian.
You got that last defensive rebound with about 12 and a half left. You had a timeout. Did you consider taking the timeout there, or you just wanted to go?
Didn't even cross my mind. I've been in those situations a ton, and I just think that scramble situation like that, when they can't set their defense and they can't sub and the court's broken, and we had called we call them quicks, were just consecutive ball screens by a couple guys in the middle of the court, and obviously, DJ got to pretty deep in there, and it didn't go down, but we had an unbelievable offensive rebound chance to, send it into overtime. And I just can't imagine we'd get, two better looks than that if we had called timeout. But everyone does it different. If it would have been 4 or 5 seconds, then maybe, but with that much time and they're scrambling, that's what I normally do.
Go ahead, Steph.
Coach, there, I know in the second half, I think Tennessee was 8 of 9 from 3, and Florida comes out with a hot start from deep. Is it just a matter of the other teams knocking down, or is there something you're seeing with your defense that guys aren't where they need to be necessarily? Yeah,
the 3-point line has become a problem for us. We're obviously getting beat at the 3-point line by a large margin, and we're probably never going to be winning the 3-point category very often, but the discrepancy between how many they're making and how we're making is hard to make up in most games because it's a significant amount of points. But it's not always about the shot. It's about what we're doing before. Like, we're just not getting into the ball enough. We're not dictating enough, and our foot angles aren't where they need to be. And so they're passing the ball exactly where they want to. They're not throwing the ball, to disrupt the shooter's rhythm. And then, we do something called flyby where, we're all in on the shot, and we didn't see many of those in the first half. We did in the second, but we didn't see many of them in the first half. But you got to give them some credit. They got good players. Will Richards, a really good shooter. He was 4 for 5. Riley Kugel is a freshman that obviously has a previous relationship with Mississippi State, and I think he's as good a shooter as they have, to be honest with you. So they played well. They played well, and they hung on.
Back to Paul.
Sean had a big 3 tonight and kind of got back in the rhythm. Obviously, he got hurt again. Is he okay? Or
I don't even know. I haven't got there yet.
Anything else for Coach? We'll go back to Brian.
Your team has been pretty consistent getting the free throw line, 20-plus times in conference play. Only 11 free throws tonight. Was that something that you guys weren't doing, or has it been Florida was doing?
I'd have to watch the tape to really pinpoint it. I thought it was nothing against the officials, but they just weren't calling a lot of fouls. I thought it was pretty physical. But I got no complaints in that department. I mean, both teams shot 11, they shot 10. Neither one of us shot, great percentage from the line. But and I may feel different once I watch the tape, that maybe we weren't quite as aggressive as we were. But I didn't feel that way as the game was unfolding.
Steph, to wrap us up.
I guess just to follow up on Paul's question about Sean, I guess just how tough was that? I know you had just put him back into the game and he provided a bit of a spark, I guess. Was that kind of, how much did that hurt momentum, I guess, having to take him out, immediately there?
Yeah, you can't gauge that. I don't know. He wasn't available anymore. But he certainly looked more comfortable since he's came back. He had a nice 3 and got his hands on a lot of balls. He provides some length for us, obviously, and he just always has a nose for the ball, if you will. And it's hard to predict the future, what would have happened, but certainly he'd give us a nice shot in the arm.